title fight still to come in our main event. Paul the Truth Delgado, WBF North American welterweight title bout, taking on Ruben Galvan. That is coming up next, but right now we begin round number 6 of Chris Gray. Very aggressive. A couple times he's done that.
First of the round, yeah, he's done his homework on Tyrese. Tyrese likes to circle his opponent at the beginning of the round, and he's catching him a little off guard.
Well, isn't that kind of maybe the veteran thing? The veterans know, hey, let me do a little flurry at the beginning, yep, so they remember it, and then a flurry at the end.
You know? Still around. Nobody remembers in the middle of a round.
See what Chris Gray can get done, who's probably being shut out to this point on most of the scorecards by Tyrese Hendrix, even though he's coming on a little bit. Gray moving. It looks like he's got a little jump in his step, doesn't it, here in the sixth?
Very fresh.
Yeah.
He is an awkward fighter. It would be difficult to land a solid punch on the guy.
You know, and remembering back to his bout with Paul Delgado, there's more punches connected in that bout between the two, but Gray kind of got a second wind midway through that too, and
like he's doing now.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of what he's doing now.
I like Tyrese being in that tight shell in the mid range. I think it allows him to capitalize when Gray decides to throw a punch. Shells up a little in that mid range.
Not much happening there as they broken up from the clinch by referee Brian Stutz. Tyrese just pawing with the right and then
trying to get in the pocket. It's like a quarterback sitting in the pocket. If he's too far away, Chris Gray has long arms. That's going to favor Chris. If he's inside, Chris is good at tying him up. So the mid-range right there is a good range for him.
And Chris Gray with a little flurry. He's been more active with his offense, hasn't he, Preston?
He has, and I think Tyrese wants him to be more active. Tyrese feels like that's the only chance he's going to have to land a powerful shot is to get this guy out of a shell and make him feel confident that he can fight with Hendrix.
And I guess if you're Tyrese Hendrix and you know you're winning all the rounds, you don't think that Gray can knock you out. You take a lot. It gives you a lot of options down the stretch, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It can also cause you to fall asleep in the ring and make for a boring fight as well.
Yeah. Exchange from both fighters. Hendrix looks a little frustrated now, but still not putting himself in a bad spot chasing Chris Gray.
I like that lead left hand.
Yeah.
That landed. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, you've called for it, Preston. Final seconds here in this 6th round. Chris Gray going to try to finish strong, just like he started this round. And look at that, the activity. But Hendrix determined. He sticks a left, and then Gray comes back at him. Good exchange from both fighters at the end.
This Chris Gray is scrappy and awkward, scrappy. I tip my hat to him. He's in there with a great fighter, and he's holding his own. He's getting better round by round.
Yeah, he has, but enough to get you around or no?
I don't know. That was a good round for Chris Gray.
Yeah.
I might give him that round. I might give him that round.
If that's the case, then you're looking at 5 rounds to 1 and trending towards Chris Gray. I mean, he'd have to win out on points to catch up.
I don't think he's a knockout fighter, but I'll tell you this: just as you pointed out, he started that round with a flurry and ended with a flurry, trying to steal the round.
I mean,
we remember it.
Yeah, the veterans seem to know that little trick. It's Preston Halliburton. I'm Vince Ferrara here at the Georgia World Congress Center for tonight's presentation of the Big Rock Out. Sports fan property, Shea Bailey Promotions, and Delgado Boxing put together a terrific bout tonight. We'll recap some of the earlier results and still a main event coming up. Tyrese Hendrix on the attack on Chris Gray. Gray just kind of pawing with that jab, and they reset in the center of the ring. Hendrix comes after him, but Gray is able to duck any damage.
Break those punches from unique angles, and it's difficult to block.
So Gray is is trying to get the offense going, and he has more and more, where now Hendrix is more on the retreat, and for a good part of the early rounds it was Gray doing the backing up.
Absolutely. Tyrese, I mean, Hendrix, I think he's just waiting for the right moment to really explode on Gray.
Boy, that defense of Chris Gray, I mean, look at that front arm, he's sticking it out, and
Floyd Mayweather style, the elbow up in the air. You know, the rule books don't necessarily say that you can't block punches with the elbow. You just can't hit your opponent with an elbow.
Right.
So.
And if they accidentally hit the opponent, he moved.
Okay, yeah. It's like Tyson walking into Evander's head. Chicken or the egg, right?
I think Bernard Hopkins was the best at his defense turning into accidental air quotes offense. You know,
I like. Well, he calls it keeping his chin tucked during exchanges. If you keep your chin tucked, naturally your forehead moves forward.
And Chris Gray is good at tucking that chin in that front shoulder.
He is.
And he's just savvy and smart. Not spectacular, doesn't have knockout power. Obviously only one knockout in his career, but he's staying in this fight, and it's trending in his direction, even if he's not overwhelming Hendrix by any means.
He's definitely looking better as the fight goes on. He's not weary. He's still got his legs under him. He's not breathing hard. Very relaxed in the ring, using his shoulder. There's the center of the ring.
Yeah. That's just a loss of balance there. Now, and it's not, we're complimenting Chris Gray here, but it didn't seem like, nice shot there by Hendrix. Not necessarily an indictment on Hendrix. He's not doing anything bad or wrong, right? It's just Gray is coming on a little bit more offensively, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there was a large gap for him to make up from the get-go. First couple of rounds, Tyrese dominated, so any offensive is welcome by us as fans and as commentators. It looks more competitive.
Final seconds of this 7th round is 10-round bout, and there's Gray again with a flurry at the end, trying to steal the round. Hey, I mean, if that's the way the game is played, you know.
He is playing a game. He's stealing the rounds, beginning and end of the round. Did he do enough? The problem on that last time, none of those landed at the end of the round. Tyrese slipped them pretty well.
Who would you give the round to, though?
Go Tyrese.
Yeah. Okay. So that would stop the momentum in terms of points for Chris Gray, and that would put Gray in a tougher spot now, because your unofficial scorecard would have it 6-1 for Hendrix, which means Gray can't just point out and get a draw. He's got to get a knockdown. He's got to get something else.
I think it's obvious he's going to have a knockdown. Something very convincing.
So, I mean, what can he do? Is it just a matter of maybe Hendrix letting his guard down and maybe being off balance because of the ring, and he just happens to catch a shot to send Hendrix to a knee or something? I mean, is that the only shot?
There he goes again.
Yeah.
Start the beginning of the round.
Yeah.
They ain't holding it up. Wow.
Good shot to the body with a right by Hendrix. Fans trying to urge Tyrese Hendrix on. Want to see more activity here. Feel like he's the better boxer with more power. Nice.
Wow. Great left hand.
Yeah. Been calling for it. And there's Hendrix putting his, that's a dangerous spot with no break, putting his arms out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would not recommend that. If I was Chris Gray, I'd capitalize with a short hook. Choppy hook. Right?
Big right over the top. And Chris Gray, I mean, let's be honest. We've seen him work this the boxing biz in this bout. If anyone would take advantage of something like that, it'd be a savvy veteran like Gray.
It would be. He's definitely takes advantage of an opening.
Hendrix stalking Gray a little bit. Now it's kind of the roles reversed back to where they were originally, where Hendrix is backing up Gray. Chris Gray in the white trunks and the white shoes, red gloves. Tyrese Hendrix, title holder, the North American light welterweight title, which is on the line here from the WBF, in the silver trunks with the black shoes and the red gloves.
Chris is having a good round here, Vince. He's throwing a lot of punches, keeping the jab on Tyrese. Jab, just pawing with it, keeping it out there, keeping it out there.
Gray looks like for this late, and he's been in some, he's gone deep in some bouts before, but it looks like he's moving still pretty well.
Very fresh. He looks very fresh. He's so relaxed in the ring. He doesn't use up a lot of energy when you're that relaxed.
Hendrix charges in. Hendrix has his mouth open. Is that unusual? Is that indication of anything?
Tyrese is digging on a lot of these punches. He's throwing some real power punches. He's definitely one in that category tonight. Unfortunately, the awkward style of Chris Gray, a lot of those power punches haven't landed squarely. He found a jab in the middle of his fight.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like they're doing damage on Hendrix, but at least they're making contact. A little trip up there. You're right. Grace found that jab.
He's found the jab, and he throws it at the right time. I think he's got the timing with the jab now. He's not just pawing with it. He's actually trying to land it in a backhanded way.
Final seconds here in this 8th round, this 10-round bout, and here comes Chris Gray. What do you know? At the end of the round, going to charge and try to make contact.
Yeah, it's a close round. I might give that round to Chris.
Yeah,
I think I did. I saw some good, a lot of jabs. And beginning of the round, and once the middle of the round, Tyrese didn't land any of his power shots that round either.
So as we head to the 9th round, that would make it 6-2 on the scorecards with Preston Halliburton's unofficial scorecard here ringside as you see the Tecate girls as we enter the 9th round. So we talked a lot about Chris Gray. What would you tell Tyrese Hendrix in his corner entering this 9th round, maybe knowing that you might be up 6-2 or even somewhere close to that?
I tell Tyrese to keep boxing. Let's be a little more busy with the jab, though. Let's keep some leather on Chris Gray. It's hard to hit him. Let's just keep leather flying and touch something. Touch shoulder, touch his arms, chest. Touch something, keep him off balance.
And don't lose your balance in the ring.
Absolutely.
Because that might be the only shot if he's off balance for Gray to catch him.
And win the beginning of the round.
Yeah.
I think his coach talked to him.
Nice flurry there from Hendrix. Still has good hand speed. Look at that now. Hendrix finding a home there. And Hendrix looks like he is determined here to start this 9th round. Hear that? He's just flat mad and going to take it out on Chris Gray. Fans are liking this activity, though, from Hendrix early in this 9th round.
I think Tyrese is tired of Chris Gray still in the beginning of these rounds, and he's determined not to let that happen.
See the sweat bouncing off of the heads of both of these fighters when they make contact this late in the fight. 9th round of this 10-round WBF North American light welterweight title fight here at the Big Rockout downtown Atlanta. Hands up by Hendrix. Chris Gray sticking that jab.
I can see that jab more on Tyrese, pawing with that jab high. Early in the fight he did that and it looked good.
Hendrix, wow.
Nice jab by Hendrix.
Duck low, worried about it. He was ducking really low in the middle of that ring where you can lose your balance, but Gray wasn't able to connect. Boy, Gray, you're right. Just all different kinds of different angles it comes at you.
I'm watching Gray and I'm asking myself, how would I land? That was a nice punch by Gray. How would I land a punch on the guy? He's difficult to hit. He's difficult to hit. But on the flip side, Gray's not in a good position to throw powerful punches in the return from a sided out position.
Right.
Doesn't have a wide base.
And you know, he's scoring some because he's making some contact. But yeah, the power punching is there, and if he's way behind on the scorecards, he's going to need some power. And Chris Gray too, he's willing to feint too. Not a lot of boxers are willing to, not enough of them, I guess. You probably see it all the time where you're like, hey, this guy, if he would just feint, he can open up some opportunities. Sure. And Gray looks like he's willing to do that.
And Tyrese is doing a good job of it, using his shoulder, using shoulder feints.
Do you see either of these guys fatiguing right now at all?
I see Tyrese a little bit tired from throwing a lot of powerful punches and frustrated. You can't get this guy out of it.
Gray double left, charging after Hendrix. Getting close to the end of this round, so you know Gray is going to try to get it going.
Absolutely.
And there's the 10 seconds.
I think Tyrese caught wind of that.
Yeah.
Hendrix has figured out the trick.
And here comes Gray, trying to flurry to end the round once again.
It's tough. It's tough. The punches, it's just difficult for me to give a whole lot of credit to some of those backhands and lazy right hands that just, I guess, you know, a fighter can throw those out there and tap the other opponent with them, but is that really a scoring blow?
Well, and that's so subjective, too, on what the judges, whether they would consider that enough or how they're necessarily scoring it, right?
Well, absolutely. But again, if we're looking at, you know, the aggressor, the power punches, volume, you have to go with Tyrese on that.
Tyrese Hendrix mentioned he's from Gainesville, Georgia.
I mean, it's difficult to give a fight to Chris Gray at this point where the most notable thing he does is hard to hit. Hard to hit doesn't win fights, just hard to hit.
So who would you give in that last round to?
I might give that to Chris though, last round.
Which would make it 6-3 as we enter our 10th and final round. And Gray active, but Hendrix is like, no, you're not going to steal the beginning of the round. And now Hendrix kind of circling with, yeah.
He does a good job when he paused with that jab. What it does is mess Chris's rhythm up as to when to get the shoulder up.
Mm-hmm. And you got to like Hendrix, who has to feel like he's comfortably ahead on scorecards. Is Gray combination, and nice. Hendrix responds. Hendrix isn't sitting on a lead or anything.
He's definitely not sitting on a lead. His corners definitely hasn't told him he has this fight in the bag.
And Tyrese had a strong start to this round. We'll see if he's able to sustain. Looks like he slowed down just a smidge here in this 10th round.
If I'm Hendrix's corner, I'm saying, hey, we're looking good, but don't let this man back in the fight. Don't go to sleep in there. Let's stay on our horse and let's stick and move. And let's get off first and use our legs.
You know, if it is 6-3, Preston, a 10-8 round could bring Chris within one, and then it's back to subject. It's close enough.
Those middle rounds where Chris was trying to rally in the beginning and end, that could have gone to him.
Right. And Chris able to land on Hendrix a little bit. I think Hendrix had a word to Brian Stutz, but he let up, didn't get broken. They didn't break him up, and Chris Gray landed there. Nothing too slow.
I really, in training camp, he needs to work on these. When a referee's not breaking you, you don't drop your hands.
Right. Nice job by Hendrix. Move to his left and then get back up the middle. Connects to Gray, lets his hands go a little bit. Ducks. Gray somehow spins out.
Gray, it has a herky-jerky bounce. It's not a traditional boxing bounce. It's just all over the place. It's difficult to really identify a pattern.
Gray kind of chasing Hendrix there. Oh, and he knocks Hendrix back. That might have been as clean a punch as we've seen from Gray.
Still slapping with the right hand a lot.
Yeah. Gray, the aggressor, but Hendrix still ready to go.
Hendrix, I love the range when Hendrix slips those punches on the inside, counters, rolls out to his right.
Gray with a good head movement, and now final seconds, so here comes Chris Gray.
Tyrese is tired.
And Tyrese is going to hang on here, try to slow Flory down, and here comes Gray, going to try to steal it. And there it is. Chris Gray jumps above us. And there's both fighters trying to sell it, Preston.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a majority decision.
Did you hear that?
Judge Ezor scored the contest 95-95. Judge Deutsch scored it 98-92, and Judge Canner scored it 97-93 for your winner. And the new WBF North American Light Welterweight Champion, Tyrese the Head Honcho Hendrix.
Yeah, new. He said new.
All right, let's clear the ring.